Sometimes the people you live with teach you more about yourself than any self-help book ever could. Sometimes sharing space means sharing stress you never signed up for. This is the story of how my roommate's relationship with money almost destroyed my own financial peace, and how I learned that being responsible sometimes means being the bad guy. My name is Chris, and I'm 25 years old. For the past year and a half, I've lived in a 3-bedroom apartment with 2 roommates. One of them is slowly driving me insane, and it has nothing to do with dirty dishes or loud music. It's about money. Or more specifically, his complete inability to handle it. Let me start at the beginning. When I first moved to the city, I just graduated college, had a decent job lined up, entry-level marketing position. Nothing glamorous, but it paid the bills. Finding an apartment in the city was brutal. Everything was expensive. Everything required first month, last month, and security deposit. Everything wanted proof of income that was 3 times the rent. I searched for weeks, looked at dozens of places. Most were either too expensive, too small, or in neighborhoods I didn't feel safe in. Then I found the listing: 3-bedroom apartment, good neighborhood, reasonable rent. 2 roommates already living there, looking for a third. I met with them, Jake and Ryan. Both seemed normal, nice guys, similar age. Jake worked in tech, Ryan worked at a restaurant as a server. We clicked pretty well, similar interests, similar cleanliness standards. They showed me the apartment. It was nice, clean, well-maintained. The rent breakdown was fair, $1,300 a month total. We'd each pay around $430 plus utilities split 3 ways. I could afford that. It was within my budget. Left me enough to save and have some spending money. I signed the lease, moved in 2 weeks later. The first few months were great. Everyone paid rent on time, utilities were split fairly, the apartment stayed clean, we'd hang out occasionally, watch movies, order pizza, normal roommate stuff. I thought I'd lucked out, found good roommates on the first try, heard so many horror stories about terrible living situations. But around month 4, things started changing. Specifically with Ryan. It started small. He'd ask if he could pay his portion of the electric bill a few days late. "My paycheck comes in on the 15th, he'd say. "Can I send it then instead of the 10th? "Sure. No problem. A few days won't hurt anything." But then it became a pattern. Every bill, every month. Always a few days late, then a week late, then whenever he got around to it, the rent started being an issue too. Due on the 1st of every month, Jake and I would pay on the 1st, like clockwork, responsible adults. Ryan would pay on the 3rd, then the 5th, then the 7th, always with an excuse. "My paycheck is hitting late this week. I had an unexpected expense. Can I send it tomorrow?" Our landlord started noticing. Would call me asking where the full rent payment was. "I only received 2/3 of this month's rent," he'd say. "Where's the rest?" "Ryan's portion is coming. He's just a few days behind." This became my monthly routine. Apologizing to the landlord for Ryan, assuring him the money was coming, feeling embarrassed even though it wasn't my fault. Jake noticed too. Pulled me aside one day. "Dude, Ryan's always late with everything. It's getting annoying." "I know. I've been dealing with the landlord about it. Maybe we should talk to him, set some boundaries." We tried. Sat Ryan down, explained that paying rent late reflects badly on all of us. That landlords remember these things, that it affects our rental history. Ryan apologized. Said he'd do better. Promised to set reminders on his phone. For 1 month, he paid on time. We thought the talk had worked. Then month 2, back to the old pattern. Late again. Excuses again. But the rent being late was just the beginning. The utilities became a bigger problem. We split 3 bills: electric, internet, water. Each person was responsible for 1 bill. We'd pay it, then the other 2 would Venmo their share. I had the electric bill, Jake had internet, Ryan had water. My system was simple. I'd get the bill, send a message to the group chat with the amount, get their Venmo payments, pay the bill, done. Jake would do the same with internet. Quick, easy, no issues. Ryan's approach was different. He'd get the water bill, wouldn't mention it, wouldn't send us the amount, would wait until the due date passed, then send a panicked message. "Hey guys, water bill is like 2 weeks overdue. Can you send me your parts?" We'd send the money immediately, but by then, there were late fees that he expected us to split. "That's not fair," Jake said once. "We would have paid on time if you'd told us when the bill came." "I forgot," Ryan said. Like that was an acceptable explanation. This happened multiple months in a row. Late fees on the water bill because Ryan couldn't be bothered to check his mail or send a simple text. Then came the month that really pushed me over the edge. I got the electric bill. It was higher than usual. Summer, air conditioning, expected. I sent the total to the group chat. Electric is $150 this month, so $50 each. Jake sent his $50 immediately. Ryan read the message, didn't respond, didn't send money. I waited a few days, sent a reminder. Hey Ryan, still need your half of electric. Yeah man, I'll send it later. Later came and went. The due date was approaching. I sent another reminder. Dude, I know, I'll send it. My paycheck is delayed. The due date arrived. No payment from Ryan. I paid the full bill myself. $150 instead of $50? Because I wasn't going to let it go late and accumulate fees. Ryan, I had to pay the full electric bill. You owe me $50. I know. I'll Venmo you when my check hits. Probably Wednesday. Wednesday came. No Venmo, no money, no communication. I let it slide. Figured he'd pay eventually. Didn't want to be annoying about it. Next month, same situation. Electric bill came, I sent the amounts. Jake paid immediately. Ryan said he'd pay later. Later never came. I paid the full amount again. Now Ryan owed me $100. Hey man, you owe me $100 for the last 2 electric bills. Oh shit, really? My bad. I'll send it this weekend. Weekend came and went. No money. This became a pattern. Every month I'd pay the full electric bill. Every month Ryan would promise to pay me back. Every month nothing would happen. By the end of 3 months Ryan owed me $150. Just for electric. Not counting the other times I'd covered him for various things. I started feeling anxious every time a bill came. Would I have to front the money again? Would Ryan actually pay this time? Should I say something? Would that make me seem like a jerk? The stress was affecting me more than the actual rent, because at least I'd budgeted for my portion. I hadn't budgeted for covering a grown man's expenses. I talked to Jake about it. He was frustrated too. Ryan owed him money as well. Smaller amounts, but still. We need to have a serious talk with him, Jake said. So we did. Sat him down one evening. Both of us. Presented it as a house meeting. Ryan, we need to talk about money. I started. He immediately got defensive. If this is about me being a few days late with rent, it's not just rent, Jake interrupted. It's everything. Bills, utilities. You owe Chris like $150. Ryan looked at me. Is that true? Yes. 3 months of electric bills that I fronted because you kept saying you'd pay me later. Oh, I didn't realize it had been that long. Because you don't track it, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. You don't set reminders or check due dates or keep track of what you owe people. I mean, yeah, I'm not super organized with money stuff. That's fine for you, Jake said. But it becomes our problem when we have to cover you or deal with late fees or field calls from the landlord. Ryan was quiet. Processing. I'm not trying to be an asshole, I continued. But I can't keep covering your portions. I budget carefully. I track expenses. I have my own bills and savings goals. I can't be responsible for yours too. I hear you, Ryan said. I'll do better. I need you to actually do better, I said firmly. Not just say it. Starting now, if your portion isn't in my account by the due date, I'm only paying my third. I'm not covering you anymore. That's fair, Ryan said. But his tone suggested he thought we were overreacting. And you need to pay me back the $150 you owe. Not eventually. By the end of this week. End of the week? Yes, you've had 3 months to pay me. I've been more than patient, Ryan agreed. Said he'd Venmo me by Friday. Friday came, no Venmo. Saturday morning I texted him. Still waiting on that money you owe me. Oh yeah, sorry dude. I forgot, my paycheck went mostly to my credit card payment. Can I get it to you next week? I stared at my phone, felt my jaw clenching. He'd forgotten. Again. The same pattern. The same excuses. Ryan, you promised end of this week. I've been covering you for 3 months. I need that money back. I know. I just didn't realize my credit card payment would be so much. Did you not check the balance before now? I mean, not exactly. That's when I realized. Ryan didn't just have bad money habits with bills. He had bad money habits, period. He didn't track his spending. Didn't know his credit card balance until the statement came. Didn't budget. Didn't plan. He lived completely in the moment financially. Saw money in his account and spent it, never thinking about upcoming bills or obligations. And somehow, at 26 years old, he thought this was normal. Next Friday, I said firmly. I'm not flexible on this anymore. The next week came. I watched my Venmo like a hawk, checked it multiple times a day. Thursday night, I sent a reminder. Tomorrow is the deadline for paying me back. Friday afternoon, still nothing. My patience was gone. I called him. Dude, where's the money? Oh shit, I completely forgot. Let me do it right now. I heard him tapping on his phone, then my phone buzzed. Venmo notification. $50. Ryan, you owe me $150. I know, but I can only send $50 right now. I'll send the rest next paycheck. That's not what we agreed. I know, but I don't have it. I'm sorry. I hung up, sat on my bed, felt that familiar anxiety building in my chest. This wasn't going to change. Ryan wasn't going to suddenly become financially responsible. This was who he was, and I had to decide if I could live with it. That evening, I sat down with my notebook, the one where I track all my expenses, monthly budget spreadsheet, bills listed with due dates, spending categories with limits. I'd been doing this for 2 years, ever since I graduated college and got my first real job, because I'd grown up watching my parents struggle with money, watching them stressed about bills, arguing about expenses. I'd promised myself I'd be different, I'd be responsible, I'd be in control of my finances, and I had been. I paid every bill on time, never had late fees, never overdrafted, checked my accounts weekly, set reminders for due dates. I'd even gotten a debit card that reports to credit bureaus, building my credit slowly and safely. No credit card debt, no loans, just responsible, consistent payment history. I was proud of that, proud of being financially stable at 25, proud of having savings, proud of not living paycheck to paycheck. But living with Ryan was eroding that pride, was making me anxious and stressed, was forcing me into financial situations I didn't want to be in. Every time I covered his portion, I wasn't putting that money in savings, wasn't using it for things I'd planned for. Every time the landlord called about late rent, my name was associated with that, my rental history, my credit. Every time Ryan promised to pay me back later, I had to decide if I wanted to be the bad guy who kept bringing it up, or the pushover who let it slide. I was exhausted. Exhausted from being the responsible one. Exhausted from managing a grown man's financial obligations. Exhausted from caring more about our living situation than he did. The next month I drew a hard line. Sent out the electric bill amount. Jake paid immediately. Ryan said he'd send it later. I didn't pay the bill. Waited until my third was due. Paid only my portion. Let Ryan's third remain unpaid. The electric company sent a notice. Partial payment received. Full payment required within 5 days to avoid disconnection. Ryan saw the notice. Came to me panicking. Dude, did you not pay the electric bill? I paid my part. You didn't pay yours. But they're going to disconnect us. Then you should probably pay your portion. I don't have it right now. Then I guess we're getting disconnected. I wasn't actually going to let that happen, but I wanted him to feel the consequence. To understand that his actions affected real things. He scrambled, called his parents, borrowed money, paid his portion with a day to spare. I can't believe you almost let them turn off our electricity, he said. Like I was the villain. I can't believe you let it get to that point, I responded. You had the due date. You knew how much you owed. You chose not to pay it. I didn't choose. I just didn't have the money at that exact time. Did you check your account before the bill was due? Did you plan for it? Did you budget for it? Ryan didn't answer. Because the answer was no. He never planned, never budgeted, never thought ahead. That's the difference between us, I said. I check my bills once a week. I set reminders on my phone. I know when money is going out and where it's going. That's not being uptight. That's being a responsible adult. Some of us aren't as good with that stuff, Ryan muttered. Then learn, I said bluntly. You're 26. You've been paying bills for years. At some point, not knowing how to be responsible is a choice. The conversation didn't end well. Ryan thought I was being too harsh. I thought I was being reasonable. Jake sided with me, said Ryan needed to get his act together, but Jake wasn't as direct about it, wasn't willing to let things reach consequences. So, I became the bad guy, the uptight roommate, the one who cared too much about money. But I didn't care what they thought anymore. I was protecting myself, my finances, my credit, my peace of mind. I stopped covering anyone, stopped being flexible with due dates, stopped accepting "I'll pay you later" as an answer. If someone didn't pay their portion by the due date, I'd pay mine only and let the chips fall where they may. This caused tension, obviously. Ryan was annoyed that I wouldn't front money anymore. Said I was making things difficult. You're making things difficult for yourself, I countered, By not paying on time, by not planning, by not being responsible. Not everyone can be perfect with money like you. I'm not perfect, I'm just organized. There's a difference. We barely spoke for a few weeks. The apartment had an uncomfortable atmosphere. Jake tried to mediate, to smooth things over. But I wasn't interested in smooth. I was interested in boundaries, in protecting myself, in not being taken advantage of. Around this time, I started thinking about moving out. Maybe finding a studio, living alone, no roommate drama, no financial stress from other people. But studios in the city were expensive. I'd done the math. I'd be spending almost double what I currently paid in rent. Would I have to cut into savings or reduce my lifestyle? Was my peace of mind worth that cost? I didn't know. So I stayed. But started looking at listings. Started calculating budgets. Started planning an exit strategy. One evening, I was in the kitchen making dinner. Ryan came in. Unusual, since we'd been avoiding each other. "Hey," he said, awkwardly. "Hey, can we talk?" I turned off the stove. Gave him my attention. "I've been thinking about what you said," Ryan started. "About being responsible and planning ahead." I waited. Didn't respond. "And you're right, I'm bad with money. I don't track things. I forget due dates. I don't budget." "Okay." I talked to my parents about it. My mom suggested I use an app to track expenses and bills. "That's a good idea." I downloaded one, put in all our bills, set up reminders. I was surprised. Genuinely surprised. "That's great, Ryan. I also wanted to apologize for making things difficult, for putting stress on you and Jake. That wasn't fair." "Thank you, I appreciate that. I'm going to do better. Actually better. Not just say it." I wanted to believe him, but I'd heard promises before. "I hope so," I said. "I really do. And I still owe you money. The rest of what I borrowed. I'll pay you back. In installments if I have to, but I'll pay you back." True to his word, Ryan sent me $25 the following week, then another $25 2 weeks later. Small amounts, but consistent. Progress. He started paying rent on time, or at least closer to on time, the 1st or 2nd instead of the 7th or 8th. He sent utility payments without reminders. Actually tracked his spending. Actually used the app he'd downloaded. It wasn't perfect. There were still slip-ups, still moments where old habits crept back in. But there was effort. Visible, genuine effort. The apartment atmosphere improved. Jake noticed too. Commented that things felt less tense. I was still cautious, still kept boundaries. Still only paid my portions unless Ryan paid first. But I appreciated the effort. Appreciated that he'd listened, that he'd tried to change. 3 months into this new phase, we were sitting in the living room. All 3 of us. Rare occurrence these days. We'd ordered pizza. We're watching some action movie none of us were really paying attention to, just existing in the same space comfortably. "Thanks for calling me out," Ryan said suddenly. Out of nowhere. During a quiet moment in the movie, Jake and I looked at him, both surprised by the random comment. "About the money stuff," Ryan continued, muting the TV. "I needed someone to tell me I was being irresponsible. My parents were too nice about it. My friends didn't live with me, so they didn't see it." I set down my pizza slice. This felt important, like a real conversation was happening. I didn't want to be the bad guy, I admitted, but someone had to say something. It helped. "I'm not perfect now, but I'm better. And I probably wouldn't have changed if you hadn't drawn that line." Jake nodded. "You have gotten better, man." I noticed. "The landlord hasn't called in weeks." "Yeah, that's because I've been paying on time," Ryan said, almost proudly. I set up automatic reminders. 3 days before rent is due, my phone basically screams at me. "That's smart," I said. "I also started looking at my bank account more," Ryan continued. "Like, actually checking it, not just assuming money is there. It's crazy how much that helps." "That was my biggest thing," Jake added. "Just knowing where your money is. What's coming in, what's going out." Ryan laughed. "I used to just swipe my card and hope it worked. That's such a terrible way to live. Did you learn that from your parents?" I asked. Curious. "Like, did they not teach you about money management?" Ryan thought about it. "Kind of. They paid for everything when I was growing up. I never had to think about bills or budgeting. Then I moved out and suddenly I'm responsible for rent and utilities and I had no idea what I was doing." "That's fair," Jake said. "My parents made me get a job at 16, made me pay for my own gas and phone bill. I hated it then, but it taught me to track my spending." "My parents were similar," I said. They didn't have a lot of money, so they taught me early to be careful with it, to save, to plan ahead. I wish mine had done that, Ryan said. Instead, they just covered everything, then sent me into the world expecting me to figure it out, which I clearly didn't. The conversation shifted. We talked about our different upbringings, our relationships with money growing up. Jake's family was middle class but careful, always budgeting, always planning. He learned by example. My family struggled more. Sometimes couldn't make rent, sometimes had utilities shut off. I learned by seeing what happened when you didn't plan. Ryan's family had money, not rich, but comfortable. He never saw bills get paid, never heard his parents discuss finances. Money just existed, was always there, until he was on his own and realized it wasn't. I think that's why I was so bad at it, Ryan said. Money was never real to me. It was just numbers that somehow worked out. Until it didn't, I said. Until it didn't, Ryan agreed. And then I was the guy constantly late on everything, stressing out his roommates. You weren't trying to be malicious, Jake offered. You just didn't know better. But I should have, Ryan said. I'm 26. That's too old to not know how to pay bills on time. I appreciated his self-awareness, his willingness to admit fault. Not everyone can do that. The important thing is you're learning now, I said. Better late than never. Literally, Jake joked. Late is kind of your thing. We all laughed. The tension that had existed for months was finally gone, replaced with something that felt like actual friendship. Can I ask you something? Ryan said, looking at me. How do you stay so organized with money? Like, what's your system? I pulled out my phone, opened my budgeting app, showed him my setup. I have categories, I explained. Rent, utilities, groceries, transportation, entertainment, savings. Each paycheck, I allocate money to each category. How much do you save? Ryan asked. 20% of each paycheck, automatically transferred to savings the day I get paid. So I never see it, never spend it. Ryan looked impressed. 20%. That's a lot. It adds up. I've got about $6,000 saved now. Emergency fund? So if something happens, I'm not screwed. I have like $300 saved, Ryan admitted. And that's only because I couldn't figure out how to transfer it out of my savings account fast enough last month. We laughed. But it was a sad kind of funny. You should start, I said. Even if it's just 10%. Even if it's just $50 a paycheck. Something. I think I will, Ryan said. Now that I'm not constantly playing catch-up with bills, I actually have a little left over. Jake chimed in. I save 15%, have been since I started working. It feels good knowing it's there, like a safety net. I never thought about it like that, Ryan said. I just thought savings were for rich people, people who had extra money lying around. Everyone should have savings, I said, even if it's small, because emergencies happen. Cars break down, you get sick, you lose your job. If you don't have savings, those emergencies become disasters. Ryan was quiet, processing. Then he said something that surprised me. I want to be better, not just with paying bills on time, but with everything. Saving, planning, actually being responsible. Then start, I said simply. Start small. Track your spending for a month. See where your money actually goes. I bet you'll be surprised. I'm scared to look, Ryan admitted. I think I spend a lot on stupid stuff. Everyone does, Jake said. That's why tracking helps. Makes you aware. Makes you choose what actually matters. We spent the next hour talking about money, about goals, about the future. Ryan wanted to save for a car. He'd been using ride shares and public transit, spending probably $150 a month on transportation. Jake was saving for a down payment on a house. Wanted to stop renting eventually, build equity instead of just paying someone else's mortgage. I was saving for multiple things. Emergency fund first, then maybe travel, maybe grad school, maybe just security. I never really thought about financial goals, Ryan said. I just thought about getting through the month. That's survival mode, I said. But you can do more than survive. You can actually build something. Ryan looked at his phone, opened his banking app, stared at his balance. Okay, I'm starting tonight. I'm going to set up automatic savings, even if it's just $25 a paycheck. That's a start, right? That's a great start, I said, genuinely proud of him. He did it right there. Set up automatic transfers, $25 every 2 weeks into savings. There, he said. Done. I'm officially a responsible adult. Welcome to the club, Jake said. It's boring here, but at least we're not stressed. We finished the pizza, went back to the movie, but something had shifted. something fundamental. We weren't just roommates splitting rent anymore. We were actually helping each other, teaching each other, growing together. A few weeks later, something happened that tested all of this progress. Ryan came home looking stressed, sat down heavily on the couch. "What's wrong?" I asked. "My car insurance went up, like way up. I got a speeding ticket a few months ago and it finally hit my insurance. Now it's an extra $100 a month." Old Ryan would have panicked, would have asked to pay rent late, would have borrowed money and not paid it back. But new Ryan did something different. "I need to cut expenses somewhere," he said. "I can't just not pay it. So I'm trying to figure out what to cut." "What are your options?" Jake asked. Ryan pulled out his phone, opened the budget app he'd been using, looked at his spending categories. "I spend like $80 a month on streaming services. I have Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Disney Plus, and some sports thing I never watch." "Cut the ones you don't use," I suggested. "I'm also spending like $200 a month eating out. That's ridiculous." "Meal prep," Jake offered. "I do it every Sunday, cook for the week. Saves a ton of money. And I spend probably $50 a month on coffee shops. I could make coffee at home." I watched Ryan actually problem solve, actually take responsibility for finding solutions, instead of just avoiding the problem. "If I cut all that, I'd save enough to cover the insurance increase and maybe even have extra," Ryan said. "There you go," I said. "That's what being financially responsible looks like, finding solutions instead of just panicking." Ryan canceled 3 streaming services that night, started making coffee at home, bought groceries and meal prepped for the first time in his life. The next month he paid all his bills on time, covered the higher insurance, even put $50 into savings. "I did it," he told us, genuinely excited. "I paid everything and still had money left over." "Proud of you, man," Jake said. And I was proud too, watching someone actually change, actually grow, actually become responsible. Looking back now, 6 months after that initial confrontation, things are drastically different. Ryan pays his rent on time, every month, sometimes even a day early. He sends utility payments without reminders, tracks his expenses, actually has savings building up. The stress I felt before is mostly gone. I don't check my phone anxiously waiting for Venmo notifications. Don't dread the first of the month. Don't field calls from the landlord anymore. The apartment feels different too, less tense, more like an actual home. We hang out more, cook together sometimes, have actual conversations beyond just logistics. Jake mentioned the other day that this is the best living situation he's had since moving to the city. Last week, something happened that really showed how much Ryan had changed. I was short on cash, had an unexpected medical bill that drained my checking account. Rent was due in 2 days. I was going to be about $100 short. I was stressed, trying to figure out what to do. Ryan noticed, asked what was wrong. I explained the situation, trying to downplay it. "I'll cover it," Ryan said immediately. "What? The 100 you're short, I'll cover it, you can pay me back next paycheck." I stared at him. This was the same guy who owed me $150 for months. "Are you sure?" "Completely sure. You covered me for months. I can cover you for 1 week." He sent the money right then, didn't hesitate. "Thank you," I said, genuinely grateful. "That's what roommates do," Ryan said. "We help each other out." I paid him back the day after I got paid. He didn't even have to remind me. But that moment meant something. Meant that the lessons had actually stuck. That change was real. To anyone living with roommates who have money issues, set boundaries. It feels harsh. Feels uncomfortable. Feels like you're being the bad guy. But protecting your financial peace is not selfish. It's necessary. It's healthy. It's responsible. You're not their parent. Not their financial advisor. Not their safety net. If they can't do that, they need to learn. And sometimes learning requires consequences. Don't light yourself on fire to keep others warm. Don't sacrifice your financial stability for someone else's poor planning. But also be willing to teach, to explain, to help someone grow if they're genuinely trying. That's what happened with Ryan. He needed someone to draw a hard line, to say no, to let him face consequences. But he also needed someone to explain why, to show him better systems, to believe he could change. Both things were necessary, the boundaries and the support, the consequences and the teaching. Ryan changed. I learned to set boundaries. Jake learned that confrontation can be productive. And our apartment became a home, not despite the conflict, but because of it. Because sometimes the hard conversations are the most important ones. Sometimes being uncomfortable leads to growth. Sometimes the best thing you can do for someone is refuse to enable them. That's what I did. And 6 months later, I have a roommate who pays his bills, a friend who's building savings, a living situation that doesn't stress me out, and Ryan has skills he'll carry for the rest of his life. We both won. It just took some tough love to get there.